I've made a lot of videos about ramen, from the most famous ramen in Japan to the 5 different kinds of ramen you'll find and my favorite ramen in summer. But one video I have not made is on my favorite ramen type. My favorite ramen type is actually tori paitan. Tori paitan is basically tonkatsu's chicken-based cousin. If you know what a tonkatsu ramen is, that's basically what tori paitan is, just made out of chicken instead of pork. And my other favorite ramen type is shio ramen, which is a light clear version of tori paitan essentially. It's also a chicken soup base, but flavored with salt, and the broth is clear compared to tori paitan's milky white opaque broth. Both of them are essentially chicken-based soups. So I guess this is my version of saying that I really like chicken noodle soup because I like it in all forms. I like it in a clear broth and I like it in a much richer broth as well. One of my favorite things of ordering ramen in Japan or just eating out in Japan in general is the vending machine. The vending machine is basically the best thing for an introvert, or if you don't really feel confident in speaking Japanese, or you don't really want to speak to anyone in general. You just have to click a few buttons and pay and hand your receipts to the staff and they will get your meal prepared for you. And here's a side-by-side comparison of what the two broths look like. As you can see, the tori paitan, while it's much thicker, there's still some degree of transparency to it. You can still kind of see the spoon through the soup, but the shio ramen tends to be crystal clear and you can see completely through it. There's just something so comforting about chicken noodle soup or just any soup that's based on chicken. So I've actually made this ramen back when I was in college for a dinner party with my friends. And trust me, it's not an easy process. It takes a really long time to boil and then you have to blend the bones and strain them again. And in essence, this soup takes an entire day to make. So I have a lot of respect for ramen chefs because even though ramen is typically seen as fast food, it is definitely not fast to make. So whenever I visit Japan, even though I go to the same places most of the time, I feel like I'm still discovering new restaurants, and it's restaurants that's probably been there every single time I visited. My favorite summer dish is sukumen, which is basically dipping ramen or a deconstructed ramen where the soup and the noodles are separated and it's meant to be more cooling during the summer months. And for some reason, I've always thought that sukumen was pork-based, probably because I thought that because the soup had to be a lot thicker to cling onto the noodles, that tonkatsu was the way to go. They are both tori paitan and shio versions of sukumen as well. Now, I would say the broth is not as thick and it doesn't cling onto the noodles quite the same way that tonkatsu-based sukumens would, but I would say that it hits a very similar spot. But all ramen is good ramen, especially in Japan where every corner seems to have yet another ramen store that you haven't tried even though you've been to a place like 10,000 times. So it's pretty hard to go wrong with any bowl of ramen in Japan, especially when the instant noodle looks as fancy as this.